Hey everybody, welcome back to the IHC Craft Room. Today is live number 24 of the Holiday How-To series, and we're going to be making 15-ounce Amber Lux gingerbread candles. I am super pumped. This is live number 3 in the gingerbread series because it's gingerbread week. Okay, so let's get started because my water's been boiling for a minute now and I want to get the ball rolling. So we're going to be using two different today, Millennium Soy Wax for the main candle pour, and then Freedom Pillar Wax for the toppers that we're going to be using. So let me just clear these out of here and we can get started measuring and melting. All right, so we're going to begin with digital scale. Oh man, I just realized I didn't print out my candle maker math today. Mary, quite contrary. What would you do? Well, I'm going to tell you about it because I didn't print it out. Actually, I can show you my notes, which will give you a lot of information. So for candle maker math today, sorry that this is so small, we're going to be using a total of 339 grams of combined wax and fragrance for each of these candles. So a double batch is going to require 610 grams of wax and 68 grams of fragrance oil. So we're going to get started measuring that out so that we can pop the double boiler into the water and start melting. So I'm using a small pour pot. Make sure to always zero out your scale whenever you add your item like a pour pot, or if you're using a microwave safe cup as well. You don't want to include that in your measurement of wax or it's going to screw up your whole calculation. So we're doing a double batch today, and that means we're targeting 610 grams of wax. That is going to fill this cup up very, very high. Actually, I'm not even sure if I can fill that much on here. We'll see. Because as soon as I drop this into the hot water, it's going to melt significantly. So I'll be able to top it up if I need to. But I don't think that's going to be necessary. It'll be high, but it'll stay in. Okay, so we're going for 610. I feel like there's a big blob right there. All right. We got there, 610. Woo-hoo. I'm going to pop this into the double boiler. Please melt. Thank you so much. Now let's go ahead and measure out our fragrance oil. I'm going to put on a pair of gloves for that because Mary is really good at spilling things and making messes. So whenever possible, planning ahead really makes a huge difference. All right. So I'm going to make sure I have some paper towel available to me when I'm pouring so that I don't accidentally pour on my table. I don't know if I mentioned it when I set up my scale, but I always cover my scale with a piece of parchment paper and a piece of paper towel so that when I spill fragrance, which I almost always do, it won't start seeping under and making a big mess. At least that's the plan. Okay, so we're going to be using a gingerbread fragrance oil today. And the notes of this fragrance, the top is orange, lemon zest, and grated ginger. Mid is nutmeg, cinnamon, and clove. And the base is vanilla extract and churned butter. I'm very excited to smell this. I've never smelled this fragrance oil before. So we're going to be doing a 10% fragrance load, which is what I generally do for all of my candles. And that means we're going to require 68 grams of fragrance oil today. So I'm going to go ahead and pour that, hopefully as close to 68 as possible. Here we go. Ah, so close. Oh, I knew I was going to go over. What a bummer. Okay, 1 gram is not a big deal. But I'm a bit of a perfectionist in some things, and I completely don't care in other things. There's really no rhyme or reason to me. But this is one of those things that bugs me. So I'm using a little pipette to take that extra out. And now I'm at 68 grams. And now my weirdo soul is happy. All right. So thank you very much. Let's smell you. Oh, yeah, that smells like gingerbread cookies. Oh, yummy, yum, yums. This is going to be great. Okay, cool. Now, there's one more thing we're going to do while we're waiting for this wax to melt. I'm going to measure out a little bit more wax using this Pyrex cup. This is a microwave safe cup. And the reason I'm going to be using this is because we're going to focus on pillar wax for a minute. Now, I am going to be making, we really only need like 2 gingerbread like figurines for each, possibly 3 if you wanted to stack them up. We'll see how it looks. So I'm probably going to make all 8, but I really don't know how much wax that's going to require. So we're going to guess and hope for the best. So I'm actually going to target 75 grams of pillar wax. Let me grab my pillar wax. Now, these American Soy Organics waxes, both of these, the Millennium Soy that we're using for the main pour and this pillar soy that we're about to use for our toppers, they're both designed to be melted in the microwave. So you don't need to do a double boiler unless you want to. And I'm going to pop this one into my microwave to melt it. So let's go for 75 grams. I feel a big blob here. No? Okay, good. 75 grams. And that's probably still going to be even more than I actually need, because I'm not putting any fragrance oil in this. These little toppers are not going to impact the overall scent throw. And I'm going to leave it as 76 just this one time. Because it really doesn't matter if it's 75 or 76. I care when I'm doing something like that, because if this ends up melting faster than anticipated, which is very possible, because Millennium Soy Wax does have a low melt point of about 115 degrees Fahrenheit to 120. So it melts a lot faster than your average soy. And with that in mind, that means that's going to melt faster. So I'm going to put you aside for now. We'll melt you in a second. I'm going to take this out of the way because we don't need to measure anything else. And I'm going to take off my gloves because I always struggle with them on when I'm wicking a vessel. So let's just ski-daddle. Okay, so today I am using these 15-ounce Amber Lux jar from Village Craft and Candle. I'm an affiliate for Village Craft and Candle, which means I will get a small commission if you make a purchase through them via one of my affiliate links at no cost to you. But you can get 5% off of your first purchase with them using code IHC5 at checkout. So don't miss out on your 5% out, kids. Now, today I'm going to be using Stabilo 8 wicks, which have an approximate diameter of 1.7 to 2.3 inches. So I'm hoping between the two of them, we should get a decent melt pool. I actually made some white on white winter candles in similar Lux jars, but they were matte white, which were also equally stunning, not too long ago. And I did pretty well with the wicking by using the the Stabilo 8s, 2 in each vessel. In some cases, I got a little bit of rim of wax around the edges, but I think that's because I blew out my candle a little too soon on the first burn, which I've talked about many times in other videos, but we're definitely going to discuss that today because firsthand knowledge based on that particular project that I did not long ago, which if you're watching this as a replay, Mary from the future is going to put a link to that video right up here in the corner if you want to watch it. That was another beautiful, fun project. So I'm going to be using wick stickums to stick my wicks down into the vessels. You don't need to use wick stickums unless you want to. I find them super convenient. They're basically just double-sided tape that's been cut round. I find that easier to deal with than like a glue gun, but I've definitely seen a lot of creators online who put a little drop of hot glue on the bottom of your wick and boop, stick her down and you're good to go. But convenience is a friend of mine, and so I'm going to use wick stickums. I'm just wiping off the bottom of these wicks because all of these wicks are coated in a little bit of vegetable wax, and when they're ruckusing around in the packaging, they can cause a little bit of buildup on the bottom, and I don't want that debris to interfere with my wick stickums. Unlikely that it will, but if I'm not extra, then I'm really nothing. So let me be, okay? Let me be extra over here. Okay, that wax is melting quick time. So I'm glad I didn't pause to melt my pillar wax or I would have regretted it. All right. Now, I'm going to eyeball where to place these 2 wicks in each of these vessels. I'd like them to be pretty close to the center because we want to be able to get that melt pool to go all the way around the surface of our candle. So I'm going to go somewhere near the middle, but not quite. All right. Fingers crossed that that's good. I think that is good. I'm like kind of in the middle. You see where they're at? I've got about an inch or so on either side. And then like, you know, I think that's good. That should work out pretty well. Now, there are a lot of devices out there that you can use to wick your containers. There's some that are like the shaft of a pen that will go over your wick and allow you to be able to place them into any vessel much, much more easily. I've seen those on Amazon before. I have yet to pick any up though. There's also like placement pieces that you can put inside, which will tell you where to place your wick. You could make your own template for that purpose as well. I tried to do that once in the past. I feel like it was one of the first few times I made a large 15-ounce candle. What was that? I think it was a Valentine's Day video, if I'm not mistaken. So Mary from the future, find out which one that is. I put it in the corner up here in case you guys want to watch it. All right, here we go. Do you see this wax is hopping? It's almost done. I bet you there's like this much on the bottom still, and that's it. That is fast. Again, Millennium does have a lower melt point, so it's definitely going to allow it to melt a lot faster. Okay. I'm going to now push these down using my wick centering tools. I picked these up from Amazon. I really like them because they give you a lot of options on where you can thread your wick. However, for future reference, if they could have put a hole in between these, it would have been better. I don't know what the point of that was. But, you know, if I ran the world, it'd be a different world we live in, guys. It'd be full of chocolate, pink, and glitter. Oh, how I love chocolate. Okay, let's focus. All right, so I'll leave these to the side after. We will thread our wicks into them later on. You have plenty of time for that. That is not a right this minute kind of thing. You don't have to worry about your wick placement until your candle starts to solidify a little bit. Let's see, how are we doing over here? How thick is this? Do I have time to go melt my pillar wax? I think I may. Ooh, that's really pushing it because I also have to color the pillar wax. It's not just melting it because I want the toppers. Now, I'm not going to be placing any color in the main pour. The regular candle is going to be just a nice, lovely, creamy soy, which is like a creamy white. Millennium is known for its really pretty, creamy, opaque finish. So I'm hoping that's going to give me a really nice top on my main pour. But then we're going to be adding some Gingerbread Man toppers. And I want to do some that are like a lighter brown and some that are more of a chocolatey brown. So let me go pop this in the microwave. That's still melting. Gosh, this is going to be tight. It's going to be tight. But it's okay. If it turns out that my pillar wax melts at the same time as my Millennium, I'll just put the pillar back into the microwave and remelt it when it's time for me to pour the Gingerbread Man. So let's talk a little bit about why I'm using 2 different waxes today. Any of my videos where I make something using a silicone mold like this one, I will always aim for pillar soy wax because pillar soy wax is designed for those freestanding candles, pillars. So the ones that you see in amazing videos and, oh my God, I'm making myself sound so old right now because who even sees videos like that anymore? Okay, focus. But they're made to be freestanding. So it's not like a container wax that will lose its shape if it's not in a container. So the pillar is especially good for silicone molds because these little molds that have things like these little arms that stick out, it's really easy when you're demolding to accidentally decapitate or amputate one of these guys. And we really don't want to do that. So pillar wax is definitely the way to go. Now, if you were making something with like a less intricate shape that doesn't have those pieces sticking out, like the arms and the legs, like say you just had like a heart shape, you could probably get away with using Millennium if you wanted to versus adding the elements of pillar, but it's not necessary. All right. Yeah, for sure. These are going to be done melting at the exact same time. That's typical. It is typical of me. Now, we do want to get, anytime you're going to be mixing fragrance into melted wax, you want to get your melted wax up to a temperature of at least 185 degrees Fahrenheit, if not a tiny bit higher. And the reason for that is science, son. You want the molecules of the wax to open up and really be available to accept the fragrance molecules, and they can completely bond at that temperature. And then solidify together and make their beautiful scent go completely mixed throughout the entirety of your candle, as opposed to having little bits and pieces, or that they don't actually attach to each other and you don't really get a good fragrance. You end up getting that little bit of pooling fragrance oil on the top, which we do not want. Okay. So the pillar wax is ready because so is the Millennium. So I'm going to leave that in the microwave. We will reheat it if needed. Not a big deal. I just wanted to wait and see if we can get up to 185. Let me put this up a little bit more. I'd like for it to get up that high if possible. If I can't really get there, well, you know, I mean, ain't nobody going to arrest me. So it's not a big deal. We will live with it. All right. How you doing, Wax? I only have so much patience left. 180. I think I'm going to give you literally 10 seconds, and then I'm going to take that off of the heat. Let me find myself a pot holder. You know what? My pot holders intentionally take off when I start a live. I'm convinced they have like a Toy Story kind of situation going on. They're all messing with me. All right, here we go. Mary's patience is over. Let's see. It actually went down a degree. Okay, great. Fantastic. I'm going to pretend that it's 185. I don't know what you're talking about that it's 180. It's actually 185. You saw incorrectly. And maybe go see an eye doctor, you know. Get it checked out. Eye health is important. I am going to take this hot water out of here so that I don't burn myself. Which sounds dramatic, but if you knew me, you would know it's not that dramatic. I am very capable of burning myself. All right, beautiful. You scoot. We are ready to party now. Okay, I am going to go ahead and mix in my fragrance oil. We're at 180. That's not so bad. Good afternoon, Anna. Happy Saturday to you, and welcome to the live. I hope you're a fan of gingerbread, because that's what we're making today. It's gingerbread week at the IHC Craft Room. What did I tell you about Mary dropping things all the time? So let's put that over there. Okay. So as I was saying, you want the wax to be at about 185 degrees. We're at about 180. I don't think it's going to be that big of a difference. And that's because you want the wax molecules to open up and really bond well with the fragrance oil. Okay, it's 4:19 p.m. right now. And I'm going to keep stirring for 3 minutes. That is absolutely a recommendation. You can just stay, stirring for 2 minutes. I've seen that as an option, 2 to 3 minutes. But I'd like to prefer to veer on the side of caution, stir for an extra minute. It's not going to kill you. And it gives you that better opportunity for the wax and fragrance to really bond together. Because not only have we now achieved the right temperature to open the molecules so that the wax can receive the fragrance, but now we're also giving it the agitation of stirring it through. As you can see, I'm not doing it quickly. I'm taking my time. I like to stir from the inside all the way to the outside. And when I'm on the outside, I scrape along the sides of the vessel. My stir stick is scraping along the bottom of the vessel right now as well. And the reason I'm not stirring quickly is because I don't want to introduce any additional air to the wax if I can avoid it. Man, does this smell delish. It's like we're baking gingerbread cookies here in the craft room today. Yummy, yum, yums. So yeah, Millennium Soy Wax has a melt point of 115 degrees Fahrenheit to 120. And that's considered a really low melt point for a container wax. And that's why I chose it for this, because you can achieve a full melt pool more easily with this kind of wax because it melts so quickly. And in addition to that, and at a lower temperature, I'm using wicks that are a little less strong. They're Stabilo 8s as opposed to Stabilo 12s. And I'm hoping that that combination of a low melt point of the wax and this like estimated melt pool will give me that full melt pool we're looking for. Okay, we're at 422. We did it, guys. We did it for 3 whole minutes. Man, am I a patient girl today. Atta girl. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and pour because, as I mentioned, I'm not going to be adding any color to this main pour. I want it to be that beautiful creamy soy color. So let's move everything a little bit. You guys scoot. Ski-daddle. Because it'll make it easier to continue when we're done. Because I've already poured some of these for us to complete together. Hey, dude. Okay, so actually, before I pour, let me point this out. Because I'm going to be placing these gingerbread toppers, and you can see they're about yay thick, I want to leave myself that kind of real estate up here. So I'm not going to pour up to the top. I'm not going to target like a 14-ounce fill. We're going to target a 12-ounce fill, which will give me that extra inch on the top. So I'm going to pour about to here. And I highly recommend anytime you're especially starting off looking at a new, oh, dude, don't fall into me. If you're working on a new recipe like this, because this is a new recipe for me, I would highly recommend having some wax molds or silicone molds off to the side so that if you end up making too much of your melted wax fragrance concoction, then you have something that you can pour the rest of your scented wax in. I can put a little more here. No, it looks like my calculations are actually going to be pretty spot on. Let's see, because there's not a lot left. Beautiful. I am happy with that pour. That is a good combo of wax and fragrance oil. We got a really great pour line. So that means I should have enough real estate on top later to complete my candles with the Gingerbread Man. All right, let's pop these wick straightening tools in place. Again, I picked these up from Amazon. I got a whole bunch of them for like $10. I think they came in a pack of 100. Like there's a ton. And ultimately what we want is to get our wicks to be as straight as possible within the vessel, because when you have a tipped wick or a squiggly wick, it's going to really impact the melt pool that you're going to achieve every time you burn your candle, because it's always going to be pointing in a different direction when really you want that heat concentrated in the center so that combined, it'll give you that really great spread out melt pool. So let's scoot this over here. And we'll put you in your place. Now I'm going to go check on the pillar wax that we have chilling in the microwave right now, because again, I'm not adding fragrance to that. So it doesn't really need to be at a high temperature for me to pour. I don't need to be concerned about the wax and fragrance combining. So if it's not at a high temperature, it ain't no thing but a chicken wing. Here we go. Let's see. Well, it's still liquid. That's good. $161. That is perfectly fine. I'm not going to put it in any longer. Unnecessary. Pillar soy wax has a much higher melt point than Millennium does. So the melt point is approximately 135 to 145, whereas that's 115 to 120. I mean, it's not that much higher, but it's higher. But it's more about the integrity of the wax. Oh, I need a glove because that handle is like fire. All right. So I want to start. I'd like to do some that are a light brown and some that are a dark brown. So I'm going to put 1 drop of liquid candle dye in here. Just 1. Because this is only 75 grams of wax, which is not a lot. And this liquid candle dye is highly concentrated. Now you can get candle dye all over the place. Amazon definitely has it. I've seen them at Michael's Canada. I picked mine up at Village Craft and Candle, but you can definitely find them all over the place. All right, here we go. Now, in terms of stirring color into melted wax, remember we talked about fragrance oil. You want to stir for at least 2 to 3 minutes. But pillar wax and with color, it doesn't have to be pillar wax, any wax, when you add color, you really only need to stir for about 30 seconds. Just enough for it to grab onto the wax molecules. Hi, Tony. Happy weekend to you too. It's nice to see you all here on a Saturday afternoon making some cozy gingerbread candles. I'm really excited to melt them and see how they turn out. Okay, let's put this to the side. Now, I'm going to show you a little trick. When you want to determine what the color of your wax is going to be, you're just going to take a little bit once you're done your stir and plop it onto a piece of parchment paper. Once that dries, you'll know what your completed silicone is going to look like. Oh, I almost really did something dumb. I need it on this hand. When I tell you this is hot, I'm not joking. Okay, so we're going to pour these ones first. I want at least 2 that are this lighter brown. I have to shut up when I do this because if not, I'm going to shake my hand. Okay, I'll do 3. Hopefully I'll have enough wax for the other ones. Okay, we're going to add 1 more drop. No, we'll do 2. 1, 2. Now remember, this is half the wax now. So this is going to be very dark in comparison to the ones we just poured, which is good. I wanted the contrast in colors. A nice, really rich dark brown and more of like a light golden brown. Actually, for golden brown, it would have been nice to add a little bit of yellow liquid dye as well. That might have helped it like lean into that golden brown. I made a set of candles recently that are a trio of nostalgic Christmas characters, and one of those was Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. And the wax that was in that one, I colored with brown and yellow liquid dye, and it really did achieve a nice golden brown color. So if that's what you're looking for in your gingerbread man, I highly suggest trying to mix in some yellow for that. And if you're interested in seeing the video where I made those super cool candles, you can see them up here in the replay because Mary from the future is going to pop that there. All right, here we go. You know what? I think 75 grams is going to be the perfect amount of wax. Oh, I have enough for... Get out of here. Am I going to have enough for all of these? Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Never expected that. I did not expect 75 grams to hit so great. Congratulations, Mary from the past who made these calculations. You did a good job, girlfriend. That's great. Now, you'll notice that I almost always try to clean out my vessels and mixing things and stir sticks and all the things while I'm working. And that's because it's going to make it a lot easier when I'm cleaning up later to see how this is going to clean up without a lot of use of my heat gun or popping things into the microwave. I'll just have to like wash them with a bit of soapy water and we'll be good to go. Okay, that's a piece of wax I need to scrape off. Okay, so you can see from that one that I dropped earlier that we got that really nice light brown there. I'm sure this is going to be a nice chocolatey brown. So I'm pleased. I think we've got the good balance between the two of them. Now let's move this aside. And we are going to finish off the candles that I already made for this purpose. Here we go. I've got 2 15-ounce candles ready to party. And some gingerbread men who are so ready to go. All right. So I used all of the same ingredients and mixtures and combos for these 2 candles, except I put 2 drops of brown liquid dye on my first set of Gingerbread Man and 3 on the second set. And I felt like I wanted it to be just a tiny bit lighter, so I adjusted in this one and only used 1 drop of each. So that's the only difference between these 2 sets of candles. Now I'm going to demold. You guys scoot away. We'll come back to you in a moment. We're going to demold these guys. And this is why pillar soy wax is the way to go. Look at how easily these pop out. No big deal. The legs, the arms are intact. The head, no decapitations. It's a good day at the gingerbread factory. And same with this one. And trust me when I tell you I learned this the hard way, because I have definitely made toppers using like other types of soy wax, and the carnage was real. I remember doing a whipped wax candle for Easter last year, and I had these really cute toppers, these little chicks and these little bunnies, but I didn't actually use the right wax for them. So when I was demolding them, it was a massacre. It was a complete massacre. Oh, I'm still upset about it after all this time. Okay, here we go. So as you can see, I got myself 2 different colors. Cute, right? They look gingerbready. I'm excited. Now, like I said, these ones are ready. Look at how quickly they're solidifying. I don't know if you can tell, but they are. I'm probably going to be able to pop those out soon anyway. All right, I'm going to take my gloves off because I don't really need them for this part, and they're making my hands sweaty. So what we're going to do now is take our wick centering tools out because we don't need them. Not anymore. These are long cured and not an issue. Now I'm going to be trimming down the wicks, but because we're putting toppers, you definitely want to be conscious of how low you cut your wick. So for example, if this was going to be a candle that has no topper on it, I would trim my wick to be about 1/4 inch from the top of the wax. That will help your wick perform well. It'll avoid having crazy flames. It'll avoid major soot. So you always want to trim your wick down to about 1/4 inch. But because we're going to be using these toppers, they're going to generate a little bit of extra wax. And I don't want to accidentally smother my flame on my wick. So we're going to actually cut these high for right now until we place our toppers on. Just so that they're out of the way, because these long wicks are annoying. And then once we've placed our gingerbread men in the place that they're going to stay, I will trim down the wick a little bit more. But before we go there, let's have a look at the candles themselves and how this Millennium soy wax performed. So first of all, the tops are very, very smooth. The wax has really adhered well to the vessel. You can see that there's no gaps along the edges anywhere. It's super smooth. Not as soft as like the other day I was using virgin coconut soy wax. that was super duper soft. Whereas this has more of a solid feel to it, but it has a very smooth top. And you can see that I've got I don't think I see any wet spots at all now that I'm looking at this really well. No. And because soy wax is very much known for frosting, but no color added means you're not going to see frosting really. I've got a bit of a wet patch right here, just a tiny, tiny bit. But really, the way it's adhered to the edge of the vessel and no wet spots, these are beautiful. And they really did well. No sinkholes, no cracks. You can see that really nice, smooth top. Millennium Soy Wax is a lovely, lovely wax. Okay, so now let's go ahead and decide how many of these guys are we going to put in here and where. Is 2 enough? Do we want 3? That's overkill. Maybe just 1? What do you think? Should we do... Maybe I could do them side by side like that. But then it kind of feels like it's sideways. What do you think? I say we do them both this way. So Wicks vertical with a gingerbread man on each side, and then Wicks horizontal with a gingerbread man diagonal. I'm pleased with that. Makes them a tiny bit different. And you guys, we're going to save for later because you just never know when you need another gingerbread topper. Am I right? I mean, you really don't. Okay, so now to get these guys to adhere to our candle so that they don't go jumping around. Oh, I think I just shook my camera. My apologies if I did. What we're going to do is I'm going to melt a little bit of wax right around the spot that we need. You don't need to melt the entire layer of the top of your candle, unnecessary. The only time I would recommend doing that is if you have cracks or sinkholes and you want to smooth out the top of your candle, then absolutely go ahead and melt a layer on the top before you drop your toppers in. But if you're not having that issue, you can totally just hit the spots that you need and drop your toppers in. So that's actually what we're going to do today because these don't need a lot of help. Warning, this is going to be loud. Oh my God, that smells so good. It literally made my stomach growl just now. Okay, I'm getting a little bit of a melt pool, so I'm going to drop this in. And the reason why we want that melted wax is because it's now going to attach itself to the bottom of the gingerbread man, and it's going to solidify and act like glue, and then it won't go anywhere. All you really need to do, you can let it get melted enough that it becomes liquid and starts moving around. But if you don't want to go that far, what you're looking for is for it to glisten when you're hitting it with the heat gun. So once it starts to really glisten, you'll know that it's melted and you can drop your topper there. All right. Boop. Okay, so this guy's bleeding a little bit. I'll hurt him. Which is the other issue when you put a little bit too much melted wax on the underneath. You might melt your topper a tiny bit and cause it to bleed. I'm not overly concerned about it, but if it's something that bothers you, then be aware of that when you are placing your, when you're melting the top of your candle. Have a little rogue piece of wax there. You want to make sure that you're not over melting it, or else you might allow your other guys to blend and bleed. This one's actually showing me a little bit of a, now that it's melting a little bit on the top, it's actually showing me a bit of a bumpy undersurface. So it wouldn't have hurt to actually melt the whole top of this candle, but I don't really care. So we're just going to keep it moving. All right. Boop. Look at these happy little gingerbread men. The happiest little men in town. That's who they are. All right, let's have a good look at these guys. And then we're going to trim down the wick a little bit. Okay, here's a good example. Are you ready? We're going to know if the melted wax has solidified enough for it to not fall off. Here we go. Yeah, buddy. It's like Dairy Queen with the blizzards. Are you dry enough? Yes, you are. Yippee. Okay, so I'm going to show you. You can see here that the wick is sticking out from the feet by about a 1/4 inch. We don't need it to go much higher over the topper. We want it to actually kind of be level with the topper, because once these guys start to melt and they generate wax, that extra bit of wick should be enough to counteract it so that we're not going to end up putting out our flame accidentally. So I'm going to trim these down just a wee bit more so that they're level with the Gingerbread Man. You too, eh? All right. We are ready to party. I'm going to give you a good look at my little friends, and then we're going to light them on fire. Fire, fire, fire. What do you think? Cute, right? Gingerbread Man in an amber jar, 15 ounce, 2 wicks. These are going to be awesome. All right, here we go. Are you ready? We're going to light them up together. I feel bad about where I placed this Gingerbread Man because I'm basically going to burn his foot off immediately. And this guy's going to end up with a head injury that he's not going to be able to recover from. Oh, well, what are you going to do? We all got to go someday, some way. They're going to do it smelling delicious. Well, there we go. We have now made 2 15-ounce candles from start to finish together. The main pour, we used Millennium soy wax with a 10% fragrance load, using this delicious smelling gingerbread fragrance oil. And then the toppers, we used no fragrance oil at all. We used some pillar wax so that they could pop out of the silicone molds without any issue. And we used our heat gun to attach them together. And it is a party here, let me tell you. They are already, these guys are like, they're serious about it. These have been here long enough that I can demold them. Now, they're not fully cured. They're not going to cure for another few hours. And I can feel the heat of them on my hand. But I think they should still make it without breaking. Yeah. That came out good. This is the right color. So 1 drop for the first set. Oh, see, I killed him. There was a murder in the IHC Craft Room. Don't tell anybody. Everything's going to be fine. I'll just put it back in here. Nobody's going to notice. It's going to be okay. Except his head rolled onto the floor. So I don't know about that. But no, I found it. Don't worry. Look, nobody's going to know. It's going to be fine. Everything's fine. He's still smiling even. Like the smile on his face, he's having a good time. I wouldn't be worried about it. So that means we're going to stop demolding because they're not strong enough to handle it. But you can see that the color came out better than the one I had before. These are the 2 I made previously. And here's the one from today. We've got a nice progression of brown colors. Oh man, that looks so cute. I love it. All right. So there you go. We just made ourselves some beautiful 15-ounce gingerbread scented candles out of 100% soy wax. I really, really enjoyed making these. It was super fast. We're like not even at 45 minutes in. Look at that. You have the whole rest of your afternoon and you still got to make some awesome cozy candles with me. I consider that an epic win. If you're interested in learning more about beginner candle making, I have a ton of videos on my channel. Tons like this, these lives where we're in real time and I'm talking your ear off. And then I have a whole bunch that are more highly edited where I just have a voiceover, but I'm not like telling you my life story between each step. So if you're interested in either one of those, check out my channel. You'll see a bunch of beginner friendly videos. And yeah, I'm going to keep making candles every Saturday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time into the foreseeable future. So I hope you'll continue to join me because I really enjoy making candles with you. And don't forget to subscribe so that we can continue to get crafty together. Toodaloo!